The underlying belief here is to just keep going and to just keep creating no matter what. Like, don't let other people affect your performance. Don't let somebody else's reception of your work shape whether or not you're going to keep going. Rejection is just another step on the staircase that leads us to success. Alright, hello everybody, so welcome back. Sorry if I sound sick, it's because literally everybody on my campus is sick and we're all giving each other the same virus over and over again. But yeah, hopefully the audio works this time. This is like my 4th time trying to record this stupid video. So today's video is going to be about rejection, and we're going to be talking about reasons that it feels especially painful, especially as an artist, like kind of going into like my personal experience with that hopefully some of you guys will be able to relate to. And then I want to talk about some strategies that I've picked up on throughout the years for how to deal with rejection and how to see it as a more positive thing in order to move forward. So I think that the reason that rejection is so painful as an artist is because your art feels like a piece of you, right? It feels like a part of your heart that you've cut out and polished and shown to people. So when you write something or you make art or you record a song and you show it to someone and they don't like it, or you submit it to a competition or a publication or something and they reject it, it feels especially painful to us because it's not just something that we've created, it literally is us. Like, I think every artist just has such a deep connection to what they create that it's almost impossible to extricate ourselves from that. I think also the process of submitting your work to a place or showing it to someone, there's kind of like this implication that you think that it's something worth showing to other people. And so it sets up this sort of expectation where you expect them to give you some of the energy that you put out. You've put so much time and energy into creating this, and when somebody doesn't appreciate that or somebody just doesn't think that it's right for them, then that can feel especially painful. A lot of the time we tend to see rejection kind of as a personal attack, where we think that like, oh, if somebody doesn't like something we've made, then they just might not like us. Like, maybe we're the problem, like maybe they just don't like us as a person. And I think that a lot of the time we can have this like immediate jumping to conclusions where we assume so many things about people and about like how they perceive us. You can feel really humiliated, you can feel upset and angry and disappointed and demotivated, discouraged by rejection. And I just want you guys to know that like that's super normal and everybody deals with that, and you're definitely not weird or freaky for feeling that way. And I think as people we have this inherent need to sort of belong or to fit in, and whenever someone rejects us, it feels like they're casting us out, they're alienating us, they're saying, no, you don't belong here, like you don't belong in like this little publication that I created. You know, it just feels like you're trying to like show yourself to somebody and they're just being like, nuh-uh, like they're just closing the door on you. And you know, I think it's in human nature to just feel very like upset or to feel kind of personally offended by that. And as a result, you can develop like pretty low self-esteem if you're not able to deal with rejection properly. I think that being able to deal with rejection is a really, really crucial life skill. Like, it's like a hard skill. It's like learning to use software, learning to use certain programs. I think it's equally important because I always say that life as a creative person is basically just a weeding out process where it's not necessarily the most talented or the skilled people that succeed in a field, but it's more so the people that are able to deal with rejection and to keep going despite it and to just not give up. Like, I think that as long as you don't give up, like most things are actually like very viable to happen. Now, like I'm a lot better at handling rejection, and I think just like growing up and experiencing a lot of it has really taught me to be like smarter when it comes to embracing it and like facing it, rather than just dismissing everybody who rejects me as people who are just stupid and don't understand, and to lash out with like extreme emotion. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the feelings that come from rejection are very extreme emotions, like sadness, like anger. And so now I'm going to get into a couple of things that I've learned that'll hopefully help you guys a little bit with handling rejection and sort of reassure you that, you know, you're exactly where you need to be right now. Like, this is not something that is necessarily bad, but it's something that can actually help you become better in the future. So the first thing that I've learned to do is to see rejection as a metric of courage. So I saw a post on Tumblr a while ago where somebody said that they knew somebody who was aiming for 30 rejections that year, and in the process of aiming for that many rejections, they ended up achieving a lot of like really amazing things. And I think this is really smart because like when we get rejected, we feel sad because it feels like we're losing something, or we feel like we're fumbling some sort of achievement. But if you reframe it and you see being rejected as an achievement itself because it symbolizes your bravery and your courage, then that really reframes it, and in our brains we associate that as a positive thing. The point is to keep putting yourself out there regardless of whether you get rejected. So if you're aiming for a very high number of rejections, then you know every time you get one you're going to be like, oh yay, like I get to cross one off the list, but also you're another step closer to perhaps achieving the goal. The process of just putting yourself into the world and showing people the things that you create is such an important important part of being a creative person. Like if you make art, then people are going to see it at some point, and to just kind of get into the habit of doing that can really help. I literally shiver all the time thinking about all the amazing art that we'll never see because the creator was too afraid to show it to people, and I don't want y'all to be part of that. Like I want you guys' hard work to be acknowledged the way that it should, and it all starts with having the courage to put yourself out there and to not be discouraged by rejection, because at the end of the day, rejection is just another step on the staircase that leads us to success. Also, another really important thing is to not take ourselves so seriously and to not see our art as like some massive thing that must be respected by everybody. Creative people can become discouraged when they take their art too seriously, or when they have this idea and they think the idea is so good that they're afraid to pursue it because they're scared of messing it up, or they're scared that they won't be able to do it justice. But I think the moment we take those things down from the pedestal and start looking at them in like an objective light, I think that's kind of how we start to actually make progress and do better on things. I can just try again, like it's really not the end of the world. I can just keep going. I can create better things in the future. I think that really helps to reframe, what rejection is, and to just sort of keep going. I think the point here is to be able to keep going regardless of what other people say. And also I think just letting go of the rejection and learning to not, have such high expectations all the time is also really important, because nobody is going to like everything in the world. Like there's nothing in the world that everybody unanimously likes. So it's just really not worth it to like expect anybody to jump for joy and celebrate every time you show them something, because that's just not very realistic, and that's also very not productive for an artist. Like if you just have a bunch of yes men around you, then like you're never gonna get better, right? And of course it's up to you what criticism you decide to take and what to not take, but like if you're only surrounded by people who love everything you do, then it's really hard to improve and to see beyond the echo chamber that you're in. I also think it's so important to create a space for yourself that no amount of rejection can break through. Like get to know yourself and love your art so thoroughly that no rejection can break that for you. I think a lot of this comes from validating yourself, and that self-validation actually comes from continuously creating. So I think that a lot of people start to crave other people's validation when they stop being so creative. For a lot of us artists, creativity is what fills the void. Creativity is what makes us feel fulfilled and happy, and when we stop making art, then we start looking for that validation and that wholeness within other people's validation. I think it kind of creates a cycle where if you are discouraged because of a lack of validation, you stop creating art, but then not creating art makes you crave that validation even more. So it's so important to learn to validate yourself and to look at your own art and be like, okay, like it might not be perfect, but at least it exists, and I actually like committed to creating this, and I actually finished making it. This also ties into not seeing your rejectors as being better than you. I think it's so easy for us to look at like the people who rejected us from a publication or a competition and to see them as some like sort of gods that decide what's good and what's bad. The editors behind a magazine that rejected you are just people. The people who judge the competition that you placed last place in are just people. Like they're not better than you in any way, and it completely depends on the person too. And I think that's what's so beautiful about art, is that it's subjective. Art is supposed to feel like something, and we all feel in different ways. I also have like a whole other video on creating your art despite other people not caring about it. It's my most popular video, so I definitely recommend that you check it out after you finish watching this one. Okay, another really important tip is to not project your insecurities onto rejectors. So a lot of the time when we get rejected, we feel this urge to justify that rejection. We try to put ourselves into the head of our rejectors, and we try to find a reason that they might have rejected us. We start making up things like, oh, maybe they rejected me because, maybe my dialogue is cringy, maybe my characters are too cliche, maybe my art style is like weird or whatever. Even if they don't outright say the reason that they rejected you, we as people just love to come up with reasons to justify that rejection. Whenever we're hurt, we love to find a reason for it because we think that that gives us some sense of security. But this process can be very dangerous because you're essentially like projecting your own insecurities by coming up with these reasons. Even if the person who rejected your story doesn't say, oh, we rejected it because it was cringy, if that's the conclusion that you come to in your head, then that's probably just an inner insecurity that just comes from you. Like maybe you're the one who thinks it's cringy. It's really important to be aware when you're projecting your own insecurities onto your rejectors and assuming things about them and trying to justify the reason, and in that process amplifying like a part of your insecurity, because that can really make you internalize that insecurity. That makes the insecurity burrow deeper inside of you, and sometimes people will just reject things because it's not right for them, and that's like not really a reason that you can justify, because sometimes people just don't vibe with things, and that's okay. Like You could write like the best story in the world, but somebody out there will not like it because it just isn't their vibe. And that's totally okay. Like, you don't have to rationalize everyone that rejects you. Like, sometimes people just don't like something or they just don't think it's right for the situation. And like, I think that's a totally valid answer. And finally, it's so important to understand subjectivity. Really, nobody in the world owes you like praise. Like, nobody owes you validation. I think coming to terms with that was really difficult for me because I always thought that if you put hard work into something, then you are supposed to get something out of that. People are supposed to look up to that and respect you. But really, like, in the real world, like, nobody is really obligated to care about you or to like think that you're cool or that your art is worth looking at in any way. And conversely, you're also not obligated to owe them the pleasure of enjoying your art, right? So I think rejection can be especially hard if you're a people pleaser, because you just want people to gain value from your art. You want people to enjoy it, and when they don't, when they reject it, you feel extra bad because you're like, damn, I really thought this was good, but I also thought that they would enjoy and that I could please this person. Think about your favorite movie in the world. I'm sure there are thousands of people who hate that movie. And think about your least favorite movie. There are so many people that love it. Not everybody is going to like your art because not even you like everybody's art. The underlying belief here is to just keep going and to just keep creating no matter what. Like, don't let other people affect your performance. Don't let somebody else's reception of your work shape whether or not you're going to keep going. Because at the end of the day, your desire to make art comes from within you. It comes from the part of you that just wants to make something, that wants to express yourself. And that's ultimately the goal of any creative endeavor, is to just express yourself and to share the things that you want to share. So it doesn't really matter what the reception is as long as you keep creating. So I really hope this video was helpful to you guys. Please let me know if you have any questions or like comments or anything like that. Remember to check out my Instagram because I have a novel coming out next month. Super exciting. And if you're interested in like reading, writing, anything like that, then you will probably enjoy my Instagram. And as always, check out my other videos, subscribe if you feel like it. And yeah, I hope this video was helpful. See you later.